You know, how many people here would give the person that you met a month ago the code to your phone? No, not me. But you'll give your body to them?
Yeah.
You'll have sex with someone, but you won't give them the code to your phone? Like the code to your phone, but you'll give your soul to someone? Episodes 2.
Come on.
How you doing, man?
Doing good. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful month. I'm excited for everything that's coming.
It's a beautiful galaxy. It's a beautiful universe. It's beautiful everything.
We had that opportunity to make everything beautiful.
Remember when we was talking about that everything has to have meaning?
Yeah.
Everything has to have meaning.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, do you think that comes with a lot of responsibility?
For yourself, yeah. Yeah, because we create purpose. We give it purpose. Like, in order to have the meaning, it's gotta have purpose, and you gotta take responsibility and make it personal.
So you have to make it personal.
Oh yeah. If I wake up and go outside, even if it's a rainy day, I'm like, I'm still gonna own this day. I'm still gonna make the best day out of my life.
I personally enjoy the rainy days.
Oh, it's my favorite.
I'll take a rainy day over a sunny day.
All day. I'll take the rain over the sun.
To be completely honest, I would say that 45% of my day, I'm under the blankets and on my couch, whether it's rain or sunshine, but I prefer the rain.
Oh, yeah.
That's because I wake up super early.
Yeah.
I take a shower, I read, I go train, I eat, and then I'm back on the couch.
I was going to ask you, do you ever sleep though?
Yeah. I put something on Netflix.
Yeah.
Till I go to sleep. But I since I was a child, I wake up every 2 hours.
Okay, because there's a couple of times when I wake up and I get a text from you and it's at 3 o'clock. I'm like, is he awake? Like,
yeah. I wanted to touch on something.
Go for it.
That comes with, I guess we're in leadership positions, right?
Yes.
This last Sunday, I went to my brother's church. And I went to go see the pastor. I've known the pastor for a long time. My brother's married to his daughter. And, when my mother passed away, he kind of took my brother under, his household. And my brother was very young. So, I was listening to him speak. And he was talking about, how he has his bad days. How sometimes he doesn't want to get out of bed. How sometimes he's battling his own stuff and that, he has to fight through it. And I was going to ask you, do you have those moments yourself?
Oh, yes. No matter what someone tells you, pastors are human too. We go through the same battles as everybody else. I mean, if we look at biblical scripture, all the disciples that were following Jesus, they weren't perfect. They had their issues. 2 of them denied Christ. We have our own battles. So for myself, yes, I go through it. There are days where even though I love the rainy weather, I'm feeling really down. When it rains, it pours sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's the responsibility of myself, though, because just because I'm a pastor, there's a responsibility that comes with it, but there's a pastoral responsibility and inward responsibility. It's how I handle it. It's my
inward as a human, and then your pastoral, your position.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Well, because I have to make sure I keep myself in a healthy state of mind.
You're a father.
That's easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
Because I have to constantly. It's a daily renewal that I have to constantly tell myself, you know what? You're good. You're awesome. God's with you. You got this. Because it says in Proverbs 4 that your thoughts shape your life.
Your thoughts shape your life. Hold that thought. I opened up a book today, and I wrote some stuff down that I wanted to ask you.
Go for it.
And see what your take is on this.
This is going to be good.
So I read, this is good. Tomorrow I'll be tired, but I'll still feel my soul. He says, how do we slow down, simplify, and live deliberately right in the middle of the chaos and the noise and the fast-paced digital world that we call home.
Mm-hmm. That right there is it's literally, even if I could say, it's my life right now, because everything around me is chaotic. I have to choose to put myself in situations and take myself out of situations. So my wife could contest to this, that my phone is always going on. There's always someone reaching out, like they need help in a certain specific area in their life. What can I do for them here? And then I also got my family that needs help.
Your children?
My children.
Me?
So my phone's going on. So I'm on the phone. I'm either meeting with people, talking to them, and I got to make sure that I don't take that with me. So I got to make sure my spirit is cleansed. My spirit is good to be able to be in that position and to also walk away and still be strong enough. So it's all about removing yourself out of situations and putting yourself in situations. So if I know the situation's bad and I know it's not going to go nowhere, but yet I still put myself in a situation, and when I walk out all beat up, then I know it's because I allowed myself to be in there.
You know what? And I can agree with that, because I think that's something that I have failed in, and I feel that when I put myself in that situation, not only do I disappoint myself or somehow manipulating myself that I disappointed someone else, but the whole disappointment and all just feels like a huge regression to me. So then I don't want her to do a motivational video and talk about, hey, you should do this, because I feel that I just failed in that same content, Yeah. And I think that it's difficult because, sometimes it feels like we're not allowed to make a mistake, and I'm not saying a conscious one where you're like, I'm going to plot this out and I'm just going to, go left. Mm-hmm. But sometimes your intent may be well. Mm-hmm. Your intent may be pure. And if I've learned anything is that, if you do things from a pure place, even if they don't seem like it to someone else or may not feel like it because of whatever circumstances, I have learned, that when you do something from a pure place, it stays forever.
Yes.
Even my mother, my mother had, her own issues and whether they were health or, with the father of my youngest siblings, but she never stopped loving us in a pure way.
Yeah.
We had financial problems. We were barely making it. She was sick. She was alone, mm-hmm. and I would see her struggle with herself, but she never projected that on us.
No, because she found the joy in you guys. Yes, yeah. Everything around me is falling apart, but yet I could still find joy. And that's because my children are still being healthy. My children are still progressing. So I'm able to hold on to this while looking back on everything else. We'll move step by step. Yeah. Many times when we get into a funk, because everyone will go through a funk at one point in their life, some more than others.
What about when you stay there?
And see, that's the thing. We're not meant to stay there, but we get comfortable there.
No, we adapt. We adapt and learn how to live in this stagnated funk.
We accept it when we were never allowed to accept that. It's a lesson, not an environment to stay in.
It's funny that you say that, because it's not until you activate, like we had said last time, mm-hmm. That part of life where you get to experience it. I've been guilty of this. Sometimes I could know what to do. Mm-hmm. I could explain what to do. I could give advice on what to do. But then I find myself that I'm not implementing my own advice. Oh, yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I need to take a step back and excavate within myself, because I'm not implementing what I'm giving out. Therefore, I'm not experiencing it. And I always say, if you honor what you read, or if you are sincere to your purpose and you implement it, then you experience it, right? Mm-hmm. I have failed myself in that sense.
Uno, you and I both. I could get on stage and I could talk about faith. I could speak faith. I could share faith. And then 2 days later, I'm in a situation where I'm faithless.
Wow.
But yet I just got in a situation where telling people, Faith, hold on to God. God got you. But yet I'm over here like, I know I can't do it. But yet if God is there for them, God is there for me. So I find myself in areas where I'm speaking faith, I'm speaking deliverance, and yet I'm over here needing it myself. But yet I think it's not good enough for me because I fell, I messed up, and I'm not worthy enough.
That is huge. That is huge for the audience to hear, because, I have found myself in that state. And I find myself, like, where did I go wrong? Like, where did I go wrong? Because getting the rug pulled from under your feet by invisible hands is it's scary.
Yes.
It's scary because you ever lost your balance? All of a sudden you don't have control no more, right? So when we feel like we're in control and everything is good and my life is moving in this direction, and I'm waking up, I got my program, I wake up, I eat, I read, I train, I go to the studio, come do a podcast, everything is flowing right, but then I lose my balance. And then I feel like just regressed. Like, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. How did I just go from being in this peaceful, tranquil state where I just regressed, and now I'm angry. Now I'm speaking in a hostile language. But it goes back to what you said. Putting yourself in that situation too comes with a huge responsibility. What I could honestly say without taking away from it, that I think sometimes we blindfold ourselves.
Oh yeah.
We just blindfold ourselves, and I think we all know when we are in situations we should not be in.
Oh yeah.
I think we all know when we are in a moment that we should not be in it, and consciously telling you, like, man, I shouldn't really be in the midst of this, and I'm guilty of that. And I think one of the things that I struggled with, honestly, because I always talk about humility and gratitude and repent. But what about ownership?
Ownership. We got to take ownership.
You got to take the ownership, because ownership, I think, frees you from guilt, and it frees you from shame to be able to say, hey, I went wrong here.
Ownership brings freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah. I did a message one time. It was called Bird Box Faith.
Bird Box.
It was off the movie Bird Box. Yeah. So the whole reality is I'm talking about, we blindfold ourselves, and yet we're walking, trying to get to our destination, but yet we can't make any noise.
Oh, wow.
It's faith in knowing that I'm hearing from God and I'm following God's voice that's going to get me through. Even though we can't see the future, we're blindfolded. Even though I'm afraid to move left or right, but I trust I hear God's voice and he's going to get me through the wilderness. I haven't shared this with you, but I'm going to share it with you. So we launched our church in 2019, and we went all the way up to, and we had to close doors due to pandemic and some other issues of last year. And now we're back up getting ready for our relaunch. And when we first shut down, I felt like a failure. I felt like there was no purpose. My meaning, my time was over. What do I do now?
Wow.
And as we're getting ready to relaunch, I had a fire relit in me. I had passion.
I see it.
But then I had days where I'm like, what if I fail again?
Yeah.
What is a relaunch? But I had to keep telling myself, relaunching in a church doesn't mean I failed. It means I didn't give up.
Yeah.
So
the infamous what if.
Yeah.
The what if has been going on for a gazillion years.
Yeah.
My brother was talking about the book of Daniel. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how a lot of those things that happened are happening now. So some things just don't go away because we remain the same.
Yeah.
I think on one of the songs I said something like, everybody wants to change, but they all stay the same. And when I find myself engaging in those same patterns, I'm hard on myself.
Oh yeah.
I'm really, really, really hard on myself. Somebody that I really care about and somebody that I really look up to told me one time that fear and faith both require you to believe in something that you can't see. Mm-hmm. and I have acted out in fear, and I have also acted out in faith. Mm-hmm. So when I act out in both, I feel like I'm being hypocritical. Mm-hmm. How can you do both when you're supposed to be dominant and sincere to one?
I'll tell you, if faith was easy, everybody would be faithful.
Everybody would be faithful.
But faith requires us to grab a part of strength that we didn't know we had and hold on to it.
I wrote some other stuff down that I wanted to see what you think about this. He said, for many of us, the great danger is not that we will renounce our faith. It is that we will become so distracted and brushed and preoccupied that we will settle for a mediocre version of faith.
It's what we tell ourselves that, this is it. You can't move forward. You can't keep going. This is your limit. This is as far as you're willing to go. In Proverbs 18, it says the life and death is found in the power of your tongue. So the way you speak to yourself.
Wow. Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, I think one of the things that I battled with, and taking a blindfold that I didn't really believe I had on off, is the gravitational pull becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
When you get sucked into your own web of madness, and now you're behaving totally against the things that you speak on. Mm-hmm. So it's important that we remember that the excavating needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
We need to consistently nurture ourselves, just like we go to the gym and consistently train to get these results.
Yeah, come on.
We need to consistently nurture our spirit so we can get those results too. Because I have found myself where I failed.
Yeah. It's the self-discipline in ourselves. It's a day process. Growth requires process. And how we handle ourselves. So what are we doing to make ourselves a better version of ourselves every single day? For myself, I have to be devoted, disciplined in my prayer time and in how I read the word.
Let me tell you something. I've always been a big believer of like having your own galaxy. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say galaxy is because stars are with stars.
Yeah.
The moon, the sun, they're powerful, parts of the world, the universe, things that cannot be replaced. You know what I'm saying? So I was always a big believer of like having your own galaxy, because therefore in your atmosphere, in your universe, there's only other people like you. Mm-hmm. But we don't realize that sometimes we leave the back door open for people that don't belong in that galaxy to be dwelling in that galaxy. And the only thing it does is contaminate that galaxy, where you can no longer feel safe in your own galaxy.
Yeah.
And you find yourself betraying the rules of that galaxy.
Yeah.
No, and that's scary, dude.
It is.
It's very, very, very scary. Like for me, I'm super grateful that I am surrounded by leaders and good counsel like you, like Flossie, mm-hmm. Like Dom, like the pastor, my brother.
But it took a while to put yourself in that position. And what I'm trying to say is we have to recognize who's around us right now and who we need to step away from. Because there are some people, no matter how positive you're trying to be, they will always find a negative.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't find that. Recently, there was someone that reached out to me that I haven't spoken to in years. And although that person had a big influence on my life as growing up, as a teenager and everything, I personally can't be around him just because it was not healthy for my spirit or myself. So I'm like, he needs to deal with my assistant. If he needs to talk anything, and then we'll deal with it. Because as much as he meant so much to me, I still have to.
Well, you're making a responsible decision.
Yeah.
I was reading that no matter what, like we have to have the courage to do what's best for us.
Yeah.
And because there's things that we are attached to, our children, our home, our freedom, our safety, our finances, our purpose, our journey. And if we don't put healthy boundaries to protect those things, then who is?
Yeah.
Then who is?
Yeah. It's our responsibility And so even with family, when my family starts acting a specific way, I'm like,
Removing myself.
I have to remove myself. You know, I get it. We're family, but it's not healthy for my inward self. It's not healthy for my spirit. And the most important thing, I have to protect my spirit. I have to protect my heart. So as much as I love you, I'm going to step away because it's not healthy for my future. And a lot of people can't let go.
Yeah, I heard somebody say something about, you know, this person amputates my spirit, but that's impossible. Mm-hmm. Your spirit cannot be amputated. Sadhguru was saying that people always say, I'm a confused soul. He said, that's impossible. Yeah, you have a confused mind.
I was about to say, that's impossible.
Yeah, you have a confused mind.
Yeah.
You know, your mind is confused. Your thoughts are confused. So you're behaving and you're feeling in a confused fashion. And for me to think that, you know, there's been times where I feel strong. The fire's burning. My creative energy is out the chain. You know, everything is flowing good in my life. And then something will happen where I feel I just went backwards. Sometimes I feel like I went backwards 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if you have to wake up and wait another 15 years to feel the way you felt the day before because you're so hard on yourself on this, you know, regression. So I think, you know, the consistency, the sincerity, and the commitment to remaining in a good space and taking care of our spirit is key. Yeah. And ownership. The power of ownership
is very key. It has to be on the top. But we have to remind ourselves, if we fall into a rut or anything, it's okay.
Yeah.
But the part that's not okay is to remain there.
Yeah, well, he said that freedom and focus are what matters most.
Yeah.
Well, you look at it like this. If you're free, you're not binded. Mm-hmm. If you're focused, you can see clearly.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, I think that a lot of people don't understand that just because they can get up and get in their car and go for a drive doesn't necessarily mean they're free. Mm-hmm. They're driving in their car thinking about something that's binding them.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that too.
You can have a smile, but
you can have a smile, you can have looks, you can have money, you can have likes, you can have views, but if you're binded to something, you're not free. And I'm guilty of being in that position, you know, and granted, to be able to tell you that the moments that I have felt that I'm fully in the present moment, the feeling of being liberated is beyond anything that I could explain. Mm-hmm. Now let me get to this. How is it that you abandon that and you go back to being binded after experiencing true liberation? How scary is that?
It's very scary. When it happens, we end up going back to the one thing we know. We know how to be bonded. We know how that feeling goes. We've been in that environment long enough. For
so long, it feels more comfortable.
Yes. So when we're doing good and when the moment situation happens, we fall back to our old ways.
Wow.
You know, when Jesus was with his disciples, he was with them for 3 years doing ministry. And as soon as Jesus was crucified on the cross, you know what all the disciples did? They went back to their old ways. Wow. Some of them were fishermen. They ended up going back and started fishing.
Wow.
They went back. It's because when you get in a position where you don't think you're able to move forward, you end up falling back.
It's like people that get institutionalized and go to prison, and then they get out. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to adapt to society, so they rather go back to jail.
Yeah.
Because that's more comfortable for them.
Yeah.
So the actual freedom is their incarceration, and incarceration is their actual freedom.
Yes. It's because of the environment. They're used to it. They've been there long enough, and that's where they're.
That's where they work.
Yeah.
You know, another thing too that I remember that I've experienced is we all perform better when we feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, and it goes back to, I don't know if I want to say hypocrisy. I think blindfold is a better word. because I don't think we like purposely sit here.
Yeah, we don't intentionally
betray ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I don't sit here and purposely say, today this is what you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think we slip into, you know, a web, and before we know it, we have a blindfold and we're in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea already. It's like, damn, what do I do at this point? You know, like sometimes it's a double-edged sword, like I was telling you.
Yeah.
You try to protect this from this, and in the end, the sword bends and ends up slicing you.
Yeah.
You know, when your intent was to protect, and you know what, let me just go about this way instead of that way, because if I go about it that way, it's going to turn out this way. And before you know it, you're speaking in a whole language that is just absolutely toxic and, you know, negative and not good and unhealthy. And I think the process of getting yourself out of that is possibly the most important part of our journey. If you think about it, the struggle, the suffering, the pain, the torment, the repent, the ownership, all of that is what shapes you to do better, even if you've suffered before.
We don't want to go through that, though.
No.
We don't like pressure. So because we don't want the pressure, we don't go through the pressure. I mean, it's like a diamond, you know, the way it gets formed is through pressure. So it comes out beautiful.
Like your body. How do you build muscle?
Yeah.
By lifting and resisting and resisting and resisting and struggling. And,
you know, in order for the muscle to grow, it has to rip.
It has to rip.
You know, in order for us to grow, we have to. But the thing about it, we don't stay. We grow. We have to step out of it and keep moving forward. It's the hard part to take ownership. It's a hard pill to swallow, to say, yeah, I messed up.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is when, especially when you feel and you're absolutely convinced that your intention was not to be hurtful. Mm-hmm. You know, but sometimes we are hurtful without realizing that we are being hurtful.
Maturity allows you to take ownership and to recognize immaturity.
I read the other day that maturity is not based on chronological age, that maturity is based on spiritual age and psychological age.
As I was pulling up, I wrote on my phone, immaturity is not childish. It has nothing to do with being a kid, because there could be 55-year-old immature person. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, how do you try to talk a mature conversation with an immature adult?
Yes.
How? Like, it's a fail. It's not you can't. And I'm not saying there has to be victory at the end, but there has to be some understanding. Like, people always talk about communication, right? Mm-hmm. But I think communication with comprehension is where things get better. Because if you understand what you're communicating about, there's no room to argue about anything. You know, but when there's no understanding, like, it's beyond just communicating.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we were saying last time about consciousness and unconscious people.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, Dispenser was saying, like, between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. Mm-hmm. And that's reason, right? Like, your reason. Like, if we activate reason, we would know better. Yeah. But whether we activate the reason or not, we always feel the reason is watching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we keep the blindfold on anyway. You know, and there's been many times where I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm tired. I think I'm going to go out and I'm just going to get some air and go do this. And my analytical mind will be like, you know better. It's late. You have no business driving out there. Mm-hmm. What are you going to find out there? And then I'm like, you know what? You're right. And then when I wake up, I'm grateful that I listened.
Yes.
I'm appreciative that I went towards that vertical path.
Yes.
You know, I just, you know, and I'm really absolute, maybe too absolute for my own good sometimes. Like, like, if I feel that something is off, sometimes I just believe, like, that's just off. and it's permanently off, and I don't want to be a part of that. You know, even if it's momentarily, but like I'll believe that for a second. And based on that, I'll make a bad call. I'll make a bad judgment, you know, and then someone will end up hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Someone, you know, ends up getting hurt when really that wasn't the intent, but it's my responsibility to be mature and to be responsible and to take ownership of that. And those are the type of qualities that prevent you from making those bad calls when you're feeling that way. And I take ownership of that. You know, I have failed people that I love. You know, I have failed myself. But, you know, I think the purpose of this is to say that, you know, let's go through the suffering and let's go through the resistance and let's go through the pain and learn the lesson, take the ownership and keep on going and be better. Yeah. That's all we can do.
And through it all, it's a lesson learned.
Yeah, it's a lesson.
All of a sudden it becomes a testimony.
It becomes a testimony.
Someone else who's going through the same thing.
Yeah.
You're able to help them out in that situation. Yeah. I've been there, and I'm going to tell you, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. You don't have to stay here.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's part of our story.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of our story. You know, it's like, to me, it's crazy. Like when I hear you tell me, like, you know, I used to listen to this, or I used to listen to you back then. Like, who would have ever known, you know, we were destined to be part of each other's story.
Yeah.
At this point. Imagine if we were part of each other's story at that point. We wouldn't be sitting here doing this.
Oh, we wouldn't.
It'd be a whole different get down.
It would. Yeah. And that's why I think everything happens at the right time, at the precise time.
Let me ask you this. How do you deal when you're getting these phone calls and they're looking for counsel and you're having a bad day?
That's a really great question, because most of the time I have to make sure I'm in the spirit. I have to make sure I'm always ready. The other day I was given a call. They're like, hey, you know, I don't feel good. I know it's very last minute. Can you speak for me tomorrow? And my response was like, I woke up waiting for a moment like this. I got you. I have to stay.
Somebody called you.
Called me and said, hey,
said, can you replace my speech?
Yeah, and can you talk for me? I'm like, I was ready for this moment. Yeah. I got you. Let me go. I have to stay in the spirit and not in the flesh. And when I say flesh, I mean my inner needs, the way I want. So if I'm in the spirit, I'm always ready. But if I'm in my flesh, then I'll say things that I'm like, I should have never said that. I'm out of my tune. I'm not aligned with my walk.
I think you said some important things there. I should have never said that. Not being aligned. I think when we're not aligned, we do a lot of things we're not supposed to.
Yeah. We all walk a specific path, and we have to be in sync. I have to know that, okay, I'm healthy enough. It's like when an airplane is going down, they always encourage you to put the mask on before you do. Our kids, our first reaction is to take care of the people that are around us, but you can't help them if you don't have your mask on yourself. So I have to make sure I'm well in order. If I'm well, if I'm healthy, my family's healthy. If I'm healthy, the church is healthy. My leaders are healthy.
Yeah.
But if I'm off, it's going to show.
It's going to show. Yeah. It's going to project and trickle down.
Mind you, there are days where it shows, but then I have to take a step back. And that's where I go, and I have to seek guidance myself. I go talk to my pastor. I talk to my wife. I apologize in areas where instead of like allowing pride to kick in, I have to ease my heart and, you know, I was wrong here. I did wrong.
Yeah, that's important, man. Yeah. That's important. You know, even right now, me in my current life and the current dynamic of my life, you know, there's some things that I'm going through and I'm trying to untether them and make sure I have the ownership, make sure that I am accountable, make sure that, you know, that I learned the lesson and that I have the humility to look at things for what they are. And, you know, to make sure that I learn from it and to make sure that I can remain a good leader and that I am authentic in my beliefs, because I am. You know, it's like Deepak Chopra, Sadhguru, you, pastor, like we're all human beings.
It is.
And I'm not saying that, you know, because of that, because we're human, you know, we have the right to say that, but we also have the freedom to know better and to say, hey,
yes,
you know, I've been growing. I've been learning, I've been reading, I've been nurturing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what if I wasn't ready? And it'll show, because what if I wasn't ready when you will ask me specific questions? What if you called me in time of need and I was not who I was? I'll be doing damage to you. I'll be doing damage to people who are watching right now. And being ready, like how I get in sync in the spirit, it is not, I don't do it for, for other people. I do it for myself first. I have to make sure I'm sharp, to make sure I walk in wisdom.
So you're ready. So you're ready.
Yeah. So I've been put in spots with other pastors in a room full of 100 pastors, and they're like, Ray, pray. I'm ready. I go because I've done it many times.
And it's your purpose.
And I build it up where it's strong. Like, you need prayer in this, you need prayer in that. I got you. Like, let's go. Yeah.
And and I've even read books that go back into hundreds of years that say, whatever you do, do with all your heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because like I was telling you, like, I've read books that say, whatever you do, be sincere about what you do. Yeah. Whatever you do, do it with all your heart. Whatever you do, like nothing else, be committed to what it is that you believe in, and run with it. Even like music, like you were saying, like when it was time for me to go to the studio, I'd be like, I'm ready. Yeah. When it was time for me to do the videos and I'm ready. Yeah. And it feels better because you're ready internally, for all the right reasons, So I think that says a lot.
But see, we practice in our fields many times. We put in the work.
Yeah.
And it's the work that counts. See?
Yeah, you can't grow if you don't put in any work.
I had a friend that said, you can't go to the World Series without going through the season.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. You cannot go to the World Series without going through the season.
Yeah.
Wow. It's true, but it's like you said, it's the process. It's the journey. It's what becomes your testimony.
It's the workouts, ourselves ripping.
Yeah, I just think those moments of solitude, those moments of doubt, those moments of frustration, those moments of scatteredness, is really when we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, like, hold up, do I have a blindfold on? Because I'm not seeing clearly, because I don't feel focused.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times I wake up and I'm like, something's off today. I'm off today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to reading or in training, like I'm good, right? I would say 99.9 I'm right. But there's times that I'm walking back to the house and I'm like, I'm off today. Something's off today. What can I do to try to tap into that and connect with why I'm feeling that way?
It's when I go through the same moments, and I have to recognize, what is it in me that's making me feel like that? And why am I not feeling loved? Why am I not feeling valued? Was it something that was said? And why is that making me feel like that? Because I have to remind myself, I am loved. I am valued. Do
you think it's part of our past?
Our past, of course.
That just creeps up. Like, see, this is what I'm saying about...
It's experiences.
I'm becoming more conscious of fragments of us and particles of us that are unhealed, that are still lurking inside of us, that show up like an earthquake out of the blue on a sunny day while you're chilling at the beach eating a hot dog. Like, when the earthquake happens, what happens? Everyone's like, whoa, what just happened? So I'm like, where's this coming from?
You don't need to go through an accident to experience PTSD.
Yeah.
You go through failure to feel PTSD. We go through like, oh, I can't do this. I feel like this because I've felt like this in the past in the same situation. This relationship's not going to work because my past relationships didn't work.
The conspiracy though, like how do you go into something with doubt? How can we expect something to work if we go into it with a conspired mind?
It's because you're already telling yourself no before you even have a clear answer. So look at all the damage that we would do to ourselves in the midst of that. Even being younger, I know this situation isn't good for me, but then you give yourself to this person. I told you I saw a pastor the other day say,
You know, how many people here would give the person that you met a month ago the code to your phone? No, not me. But you'll give your body to them?
Yeah.
You'll have sex with someone, but you won't give them the code to your phone? Like the code to your phone, but you'll give your soul to someone? Like, how scary is that?
Yeah. Come on, that's really scary. That's but see, for us, we choose what's more value.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge unhealed fragment and particle of our soul to be so unconscious. Bro, I done it in my past.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where I put myself in very dangerous situations over and over and over and over again, willingly sometimes, knowing better. What does that say? Like, what is going on that is happening?
What do you tell yourself each time afterwards?
Like, I tell myself, like, what did I just do? You know, I keep saying, like, to be honest, at this point in my life, I feel like God, like, is just, like, protecting me, but he's, like, showing me, like, dude, get it together. Okay, you can go now. You know, but, like, like, just purposely and willingly finding yourself in these just situations that are just beyond belief at this point in my life is unbearable to me, especially with how far I've come.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, if I was to tell you, you're like, what? Like, really? Like, you're doing that? Like, I would never in a million years believe that. It's like if someone told me they saw you at the bar passed out because you had 20, cranberry and vodkas. I would never believe that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would never drink those.
It was 19.
It was 19. It was not 20.
It wasn't 20. That's where it gets mixed up.
But, I mean, again, like you said, it's part of the testimony. It's part of the story. And I just think another thing that we need to be more conscious about is how authentic is the narrative that we have in our mind.
Yeah.
The narrative, the perception, the distortion, when it becomes real to us, it's all bad. It's all bad. And I just want to be able to say to people that are watching, from somebody that I admire and respect, being a pastor, from me being in this position, when I feel this way, or when I've been in this situation and I get these comments from people telling me how great the podcast is and, how, they're learning and how grateful they are, it makes me feel like I need to do more. I need to do more to protect the spirit. I need to do more to keep the armor strong and healthy.
Yeah.
I cannot be, it's a spiritual war. I cannot be wounded and manipulated and, a limited version of myself trying to lead.
Yeah. Earlier today, I was with my pastor, and he was just sharpening me up, telling me, no, this is not good. What are you thinking on this? But I think it's healthy counsel.
Healthy counsel.
And it goes back to what we were saying about having the right people. It says in Proverbs, as iron sharpens iron, so brother sharpens a... I can't help people if I'm dull.
Yeah. And not only that, but we can't help people if they don't want to help themselves.
Exactly.
That's another thing too. Like, we can be as sharp as we want to be. If another person doesn't want to participate in their own rescue.
So let's say if I'm trying to help somebody and yet there is no way they are changing, then it becomes my responsibility
to remove yourself,
step back,
to learn to step back.
But we have a tendency of not stepping back because I feel like, I could, let me try one more time. It's always
one more time turns into 10,000 times.
Like, maybe this time was it, but the next time, but now I'm just creating.
One more time turns into years.
Yeah.
And years. And you know what sucks, bro, is that ultimately, like, I want everybody to be happy. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to experience freedom.
That's not a responsibility.
But I know that. And I see that, and, when I find myself feeling off, I tell myself, this is good for you. That means you need to excavate more and dig more and open more parts of you that you haven't, tapped into yet, that you haven't activated yet, And one of the things that me and you have spoken about is there is no destination.
Mm-mm.
There is no limit.
No.
Like you're not going to be who you are today, a year from now, and neither am I. But it is our job that when we feel this way, we do the right things to be able to evolve. Like if we break down on the side of the freeway, we have to do what we need to do to make sure that we can keep going instead of leaving it there.
Exactly.
And not going anywhere. Being stagnant is not the business.
No.
Remaining in a bad spot and remaining in that, it's not, And not only that, but just being consciously aware of, like, would I want this for my children?
Mm-hmm.
Would I want my son to be in the same situation?
Yeah.
No, I would not. Then why am I?
Come on.
What kind of leader am I being? What kind of father am I being? What kind of example am I being?
Am I setting?
What would he say if he saw what is happening right now?
Mm-hmm. That's really good. I like, just like you said, when a car breaks down on the side of the road, just like ourselves, we need oil changes. We need to keep going.
My bro, if you drive home right now and your check engine light comes on, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the auto shop and they're going to check what's going on so you can keep going. But when our internal check engine light comes on, we don't get it checked.
No.
And that's why we can't keep going. We break down
Yep.
over and over and
And
over.
when we keep breaking down, then we're going to call for someone else to come pick us up, tow us.
Yeah. And then he gets tired and like, I'm not, then somebody else.
Yep.
And you keep getting towed.
Yep. Who's willing to pick me up now?
Who's willing to pick me up now?
Yeah. Each day we need to keep evolving. Like we were saying, there's no cap. There's just keep going. I'm growing every single day. I'm still growing as a father. I'm growing as a husband. I'm growing as a pastor. I'm growing in my relationship with God. I'm just growing on who I am. And the more I grow, the more effective I'm able to be by the people around me.
The more effective. I like that. And that is absolutely true. And same here. I want to be a better version of myself. I want to be the best father. I want to be the best brother. I want to be the best, at everything that I do. And not the best in being dominant towards someone else. I mean, to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
To present myself as healthy and as strong and as ready and as focused and as free.
In every area, we should be evolving. Our relationship is different than it was a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We've evolved. It's evolved.
The relationships evolved too.
Yeah.
And I see that in my marriage, I'm not treating my marriage as it was 10 years ago.
Right.
We are evolving together.
I think you said a key word, though, together.
Yes.
In order for mutualism and for unionship or brotherhood or for anything to evolve and to grow, there has to be togetherness.
Yes.
There has to be a sense of mutualism where you both want to grow, where you both are going in the same direction.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it creates a cycle of madness.
It does. It does.
You can't talk about where you went wrong 10 years ago to your wife now. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't work.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like we're going to keep going and we're going to evolve and we're going to grow and we're going to reap the rewards from evolving, the conscious evolution of our soul.
Yeah. We reap the benefits of our growth together. And like we said earlier, growth is a process. It says in scripture, he who finds a wife finds favor in the eyes of the Lord. So every time I look at my wife, I see that's how much God loves me. That's my favor that God has upon me. So if I'm feeling down and I get a text from my wife, I'm like, that's God's love right there. If I see my wife smile, I'm like, that's God's beauty right there. Like I'm able to see that's how much God. So because of that, I treat her differently.
Yeah. You preserve her. You take care of it. That's important, man. Preserving something.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know,
not just in marriage, but
in
also-
life.
Yes,
In
exactly.
life, bro. Even your clothes, like, your shoes, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
In your car, your work
Yeah.
life, your friendships.
I remember there was a story that I had said once. You can find a car the same year, 2 different owners,
Yeah.
20 years later, right? We're going to say a 1980 Buick.
Okay.
It's 2022 now. 2 different owners. One took care of that car, the other one didn't.
Yeah.
You will know the difference of who took care of that car and who didn't.
Yeah.
Preserving it.
Yes.
You cannot destroy something that you don't want to lose.
Come on.
You have to preserve what you want to keep.
Yeah.
I've done it in my past. I've been abandoned things that I shouldn't have abandoned. And, later in life, during your growth, you're able to understand why those things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot, I cannot, we cannot. I'm saying in general, we cannot live carelessly, repeatedly,
Yes.
and consistently, because it's going to end up horrible.
Yeah.
So all we can do is evolve. And if you don't have no one to evolve with, then evolve by yourself.
Yeah. I believe in doing life with people, community, but you also can't rely on your growth on people. You have to do
Yourself. You have to do
Yes.
the work yourself.
Yes.
It's like going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
The work it's you. So I tell coach all the time, thank you. He's like, you did the work.
Yeah.
He's like, you did the work. I
Yeah.
just led the way. But, again, man, it's very important that we're here. I
Yeah.
think these episodes are super important. I'm loving where this is going.
Yeah.
And, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to send links to your grandma, your grandpa, your cousins, your uncles, your nieces, your nephews. Did we leave anybody out?
Your haters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Send it.
And send it.
Yeah.
So we'll be back for episode 3.
Episode 3. Come on, my brother.
Roski. All right.